panelists here today. We've got Bill Johnson here from Wauseon Machine. He's the Vice President of Precision Machining. And Jack Lindley as well, who is the Maintenance Reliability Manager for USALCO. And it's a privilege to introduce them here. I'm excited to walk through a few questions with them and have them share some wisdom with you all while we're here. So I'll let you guys both take it away and give a quick introduction as well on your backgrounds.
All right, so Bill Johnson, I've been in operations for over 35 years now. Started off in research and then process engineering, and I got into operations management from there and been doing that, managing plants and divisions for companies. And that's been General Motors, Bombardier, it's been in casting, machining, and assembly. So quite a wide variety of backgrounds, and a lot of those touched on maintenance, and we'll bring some of that out as we're going forward. But my background is really strong in operations and continuous improvement and problem solving, and love to teach and mentor in all those areas to build teams that get results. So.
Yeah, perfect. My name's Jack Lindley. You said you've been 35 years in the industry?
Are you 35 yet?
I've been 30. I've been alive for 35 years. So. Now, my name's Jack Lindley. I work for a company called USALCO. We're a chemical manufacturing organization all across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. My background before USALCO was out in oil and gas. So I spent bulk of my career out at BP Cherry Point, their Cherry Point refinery at Washington State. I managed their BP's rail operations group. So I had oversight for anything coming into that refinery or leaving that refinery by rail. That's what I had ultimate responsibility for. Spent most of my career in operations there, transitioned into safety, health, and environment, overseeing rail ops, and then transitioned into chemical manufacturing. Before that, also really proud Air Force vet. We did in-flight refueling on the KC-135s out of Spokane, Washington.
Awesome. So great to have you both here. Now, for those of you out here in the audience who might see a white bag on your chair or under your chair, if you reach inside that bag, you will find keys to a brand new car. No, I'm just kidding. but you will find our latest State of the Maintenance report, which will help you understand how to save enough money to buy as many cars as you need. So kind of the same thing. But in all seriousness, the report here is we're really proud of this report. We hope you find it insightful and interesting as well. One of the things that we know that we're really trying to evaluate the trends and try to help bring thought leadership and insights to you all that are useful to action on with your organizations and give you the insights that you need to communicate with your team and leadership organizations as well. So one of the insights that we noticed is that we have unplanned downtime seems to be on decline. Folks are doing a better job of managing preventive maintenance and things like that, but sort of in a paradoxical way, costs are still rising. They're spending more money even though downtime is shrinking. And so I wanted to kind of have a live reaction to this with two folks who are right in the thick of it and kind of get your thoughts on how is that playing out in your facilities and your operations? What are you seeing as it relates to, what's sort of the pulse from your perspective right now on that?
So I would say from our perspective, the big thing that we're looking at right now is with the economic downturn is to be able to get our sales back up to where we want them to be and to be able to work on that growth. But from the operations side of things, it's being able to take care of the costs that are going through the organization. So when we're looking at that from a P&L standpoint, one of the things that was very beneficial for us is in implementing the CMMS system with MaintainX, we were able to take and reduce our parts and operations costs by 14.5% within a year. So that gives us a savings of $61,000 a year. And we're seeing that year over year. So don't raise our costs because you heard that. But realistically, we're looking how can we control costs now, but then look at the growth and some of the features and things that we see. And MaintainX are going to help us to do that, not just on the maintenance side, but we have other ideas working with them too. So
yeah, perfect. A lot of it for us, Nick, was we just needed to realize what we had in front of us, if that makes sense. For us, when I evaluated our organization, what I found is we were doing a lot of firefighting. We spent a lot of time putting out fires, highly inefficient use of our teams, our skilled technicians, Plus you think about, you're having to call in third-party, contractors to get in right away, right? Because we got to get the system back online quickly. So a lot of it for us was realizing what we had in front of us and just trying to understand what we were up against. And so MaintainX, in my mind at that time, was such a great, easy to deploy tool to help us realize what we had in front of us and realize the downtime and really just how inefficient we were when we thought about maintenance reliability.
And let me add to that, if that's okay. And for us, we had paper and spreadsheets that we were trying to manage all of our PMs on and everything. And we were at best 60% on time for PMs completion. But then we got to, with MaintainX, we got that to now it's 97 to 100%, depending on each of the months. And that's what's helped us to be able to see that cost savings. But it's taking it from the archaic, if you will, paper side of things to being able to make it so simple and easy with the app in your hand that everybody in the company now has been trained on it. And as far as administrative people in the office, if they have a problem with a ceiling tile, down to the equipment, when the tool makers right there on the floor are working on things, they can put it into their MaintainX work order.
Amazing. Yeah, and so Jack, I know you've had a really interesting journey with Salco. When you got there, no maintenance program of any kind, you've helped really lead the charge. Can you talk a little bit to folks out here? What was that process like? What were some of the things that helped you go from not having a CMMS to helping communicate the value of that to leadership? And how has that transformed or changed your operations today?
Yes. No, it's for us, we just had to get started, right? For us, we just had to go. Say initially, Nick, there was some concerns, right? It was, do we have the bandwidth to do this? And really the answer was no at the time. Hey, we do not have the bandwidth to set up and stand up and see that software. So then, so we started evaluating, well, okay, we'll bring in a firm, we'll bring in a consulting firm, we'll help get this thing going. And I just, in Little Rock, Arkansas, said, well, hey, I'm already doing it at my plant. I love that y'all brought this up earlier. I kind of just flew underneath the radar. I knew I'm on this CMMS software for my brand new facility in Little Rock, and it was doing really well. And so, from there, they said, well, how did you do it? You're running a plant, explain manager at that facility. How do you do it? Well, we just start. We're just every day, we're just tackling, right? And so that's always been, my biggest feedback is you don't have to look at this journey as this overarching and unrealistic, exercise. And what we love about MaintainX and most, and this is what I talk to my team about all the time, when you look at the MaintainX application on the left-hand side, it's kind of your nav thing, right? And so the very top one is your work order module. And what I love the most about it is the work order module touches every other module within the system, whether that's parts inventory, whether that's assets, whether that's your vendors list, your categories, so on and so forth. It touches every other piece. And so a lot of it for us was, early on in the early days, it was, hey, if you got a wrench in your hand, let's put that in the system. Well, Jack, I don't have the asset that I'm working on. That's okay. You can literally add right here at the work order screen. And once we started to kind of walk through that process and the team saw how easy it was, and we could do it mobile first, we could do it in the field, real time, the buy-in was that,
I love it. It's like, I love a good burger, giant burgers. We're like, how are you going to eat that, Nick? Just one bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
So that if I can add to that, so our journey was similar on a perhaps smaller basis. So our maintenance supervisor was able to take MaintainX, and within 2 months, we were actively using it in the facility. And within 6 months, we had all of our critical assets. We have 102 CNC pieces of equipment and over 200 critical assets that we have. We had those in, and those were actively being used. And that was just within 6 months. And we didn't have a large group that were working to put this in. As you said, it's very easy to do. Our maintenance supervisor and a couple of our maintenance techs were able to do that part-time while they're doing their regular job and get us fully involved in that within 6 months. So
yeah. Hey, Nick, don't beat my mic yet. I got another thought here. Another piece. Look, I said this earlier, during the last session that Doug was leading. there is something to be said about a software provider that doesn't write you off as soon as he becomes job a contract, right? But if I were to describe our journey, with implementing MaintainX or CMS software, it's been just that. It's been a journey, right? And it's been a bit of a roadmap here to get all 27 manufacturing facilities across the U.S. and Puerto Rico on board with this idea. It's taken us some time. And MaintainX they never went away. And although we had half the company on the enterprise and then half on the premium subscription, they never left us, right? And so there is something to be said, to the comment I made earlier. It is so hard to find, as soon as we signed the contract and we were, all MaintainX said, y'all never left us. And the level of service never, ever faltered. It's been that way since July of 2021. We have never seen the falter. And so to your point, Bill, that's what reminded me is during this maturation process, sure, we could add an asset, here or there. We can add our parts inventory here or there as we're building out the work order volume. But to your point, our customer success manager, our account manager, they said, Jack, just give us the data. Just let us do it. You'll wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be like Christmas morning and everything will be in there. And that's exactly how it's meant. So there's, to me, in my mind, in our organization's mind, it's hard to put a value on it, right?
We truly believe in that approach as a partnered approach. We have to, we're all in this together. We want to see you be successful. It doesn't do us any good if you aren't able to be in that position to be successful as well. And now I want to sort of shift gears a little bit here to Bill and talk about, you've got this really great lean background and manufacturing mindset. And so one of the things that you wanted to do, and you came in and after the CMS started getting into place, was try to figure out how can we start to take that data and apply that towards tracking OEE. And that's the question I get from folks all the time is, what do we do to get OEE? And so I'd love for you to sort of speak to how you started that process and journey, and how that's sort of impacted and landed today, where that journey is at today.
So I'll just start a little bit bigger picture as far as the lean journey that we have, because that comes down to, we go back to Toyota production system, and I consider myself a Toyota purist in that sense and study a lot into it. But with that, you look at two things you're really looking at, and that is respect for people and waste elimination. So with that waste elimination that you're looking at, part of what you want to do is make problems visible. And one of the things we do, not only is MaintainX very, very simple and makes things visible with the reports and everything, but on the larger side, from the lean side, we wanted to get OEE, which is a measure, very useful measure on the lean side. That's basically the availability, the performance, and the quality. So availability is the uptime that you have the equipment available to use. And we looked at how can we use MaintainX to help us improve that OEE. So we made it visible out on the floor. We made sure that it was in front of everybody so they could tell every day, are they winning or are they losing? And each team member was able to understand that. And we were able to improve, because of that visual nature of it, that we were able to improve our OEE by 6 percentage points. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but in OEE, that truly is quite a large growth that you have there. But it's powerful because you're tying a tool that becomes a system that works for you into the overall system of your lean journey that you have to become much more productive as an operation.
Love that. And so thinking about that people part of that equation, change management is something that scares so many folks. How do we get this, let's say the software works great. Let's say we can get that implemented and get the data in there. It's Christmas morning. How have you dealt with the people? What's been that process? What's that process been like for you all in your operations and getting over that hump and that adoption curve?
So I'll start with one of the things that we use that's foundational for us, that implemented everywhere I've been: people, quality, productivity, cost, in that order. So I've told people, have gone as far as saying, I will not fire you unless you make a decision against that priority system or do something dumb on the HR side of things. But it's that powerful. And then on the people side, comes down to obviously safety, but in reality, how do we work to improve our human development? How do we increase that? And technology can be very useful for that in the sense that as they learn that, then they become much more productive for the company. And then as we empower them, and that's the idea of the respect for people, as we empower them, giving them the tools, the whole company just continues to increase. So what it comes down to is people that are going to be involved in it, and for us, it's everybody in the company, they have to understand the why so they can get that understanding, and then they want to. Part of lean is you want to have a pull. So if somebody's pulling, saying, I want to improve, please implement that tool for us. That's what this is all about, is show them how simple it is, give them some of the successes, and they're going to pull for that. Say, I want more of that. And that starts out foundationally when they've got the understanding of the why.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Nick, when I look at this question, what comes to mind to me is us providing our frontline team members with a tool for them to be successful, right? But another big one for us is just being very matter of fact. The whole reason why I can't be here all this week is because I'm going to be in Baltimore first thing tomorrow morning. Be with our largest facility. I'm working with their maintenance manager, and we are going through MaintainX together. I will hold their hand, and we will go through the system. And so I think that's the other, kind of realization for us is, being with these folks, teaching them the system. And the reality is the system kind of teaches itself, I was just down in the Houston area a couple weeks ago, helping a couple of facilities out there, and they created this scheduling Excel sheet. They were putting in MaintainX work orders in there. And I said, guys, this exists today, and we're at MaintainX. They're like, really? Yeah. And so we show them the calendar, and we show them the workload view. We take it a step further, right? And we look at the capacity planning, all those great tools. And so, for us, I think just being matter of fact, being there with our team, being present, and that's a lot of my goal now in this new role. Is I want to be there with them. I just want to be present. I love talking about it. Love how we can see that mineralization. The other part, though, that I think is also really critical, I'll wrap up here, is also ensuring that all of my plant leaders across our organization know leave a contact at MaintainX. So I'm very big about that. And when I go to these sites, I ask them, who's your account manager and who's your customer success manager? What are the differences between those two people, And so we kind of have this joke, Katie's the money girl, and Meredith is to make sure that we're using the system to the fullest extent, right? But if you ask any one of my facilities in the U.S. and Puerto Rico, they know Katie and they know Mary, and they know that they can reach out to them to ask questions as well. And MaintainX is there to support them without even ever getting me involved. So those are kind of the areas I would like to focus.
Love that. I know just on a slightly extended turn forward, part of that point on change management, one of the challenges we hear, or one of the objections or questions we hear from folks who maybe haven't taken that plunge with MaintainX is, what about, are you seeing any generational divide with adoption of MaintainX? I don't know if the folks who are older on my team are going to pick this up. Speak to, have you noticed any trends like that in your organization, or what does that adoption look like from that standpoint? What would you say to somebody who has that concern or that fear that maybe some of the older folks won't pick it up?
What do you think, Bill?
Really, Jack?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get people laughing all
So definitely from our side, we have seen, in fact, our maintenance supervisor that was implementing this is 67 years old, so he's older than I am. So with that, he found that it was so easy to use. It's like was brought out that, okay, we've got this device in our pocket and it's easy for us to use. We use it all the time. And that's the way that we look at how easy the interface is and how easy it is to use. So to me, it goes from generation to generation. We have not found anybody that's not able to pick it up very quickly and use it. Now, they may not have all the intricate details and stuff, but they can put a work order in. They can track that to be able to see if it's getting done. And to me, that's one of the powerful things. Talk about with Lean again. You want things to be simple and effective. Simple, and they'll get done. Effective, and they're going to be done correctly. So that's what we promote. And MaintainX definitely hits that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Bill, thanks again for your laugh. Bill's a great guy. I'm trying to get the word moving. For us, so we've experienced all the same things, right? I think initially, we had team members that were saying, well, hey, I just want to put the wrench in my hand and go fix the pump, right? I don't want to tell my story and get a CMMS software, right? Like, that's not for me. Why are we doing this? And so, we had to overcome some of those hurdles. I do agree with everything Bill said. I mean, look, there's a big reason why we went with MaintainX. A lot of it was the aesthetics and how easy it is to use, which then in turn, makes it super easy to train your team, which I think is very critical. I won't name the software that I had previous experience with, but in my oil and gas days, we used a totally different CMS provider. Very in depth, but it took probably a group of people in this room to effectively run across the refinery. And so, I knew in my heart that if I rolled that software out at in my current role, and just the adoption, I think we would struggle. And so I agree 100% with what Bill said. It's so easy to use. I've seen it on all facets, right? I hired a 21-year-old I&E technician right out of school in Houston, right before I left Houston. He loved it. He got it right away. We hired his dad, which is in his 50s. He got it, he loves it, and he's using it right away. And so, I think that y'all did a great job on the system. It's very easy to use. It's aesthetically pleasing, and it just doesn't feel intimidating. And so, therefore, I think the usability is adopted, fairly well.
Awesome. Now, shifting gears a little bit to the broader industry trends, things that we're noticing. Folks are talking about skilled labor shortages. They're talking about supply chain disruption. What are y'all seeing on that end, and how are you sort of strategically thinking about managing those challenges and in your workforce today in your organizations?
So from our perspective, we are definitely seeing that. We've got, like I said, 102 CNCs, we've got 38 journeyman level tool makers, and we've got 21 machinists. So with that, we see that skill is deteriorating and going away as we're trying to be able to find those skills. That's not something simple to do, especially not half an hour outside of Toledo, Ohio, in a cornfield. So with that, we are developing apprentice programs, and we're finding on the maintenance side of things also that we need to develop some apprentice programs and work with the local educational facilities to be able to see how can we interact with them, get the training the basic training they need, and that we can bring and finish that off, because we're not finding that technological level that we need just straight off the street. So that is very difficult for us. But the other side is, okay, how can we now advance to be able to, in our CNC world, how can we automate our CNC work? Pallet pools and things like that, so that we can walk away from it, set it up and walk away from it. And then also, how can we get it to where we integrate and use some of the SCADA, and I like the asset management stuff that's coming up, to be able to have less people that have to dig through manuals to be able to find things, put it at their fingertips, and appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree with everything Bill just said. The one thing that I would add is what we started to look at, is we started to look at MaintainX as actually our training playbook. We look at hiring not new operations technicians, that's on the operations side, but on the maintenance side, use that as a training playbook. So we'll go and we'll look at the work order history, we'll look at all the completed work orders, and we'll look at, hey, this is how we change this specific pump, or hey, this is how we change this valve. This is how we hot tap this pipe, whatever. And so you can look at all that information, and it really just becomes a great way to just have a training aid right at your fingertips from previous work that was completed prior. Furthermore too is, just capturing of the tribal knowledge. So getting all of our asset history in there, getting all of our spare parts inventory, getting all of our preventive maintenance procedures, and really fully utilizing the procedures module. That also allows us to better capture our tribal knowledge and think about succession planning in the future. Versus prior to having MaintainX, again, just if I were to just hone in on just the maintenance side of our business, a lot of times you would have guys that have 27 years knowledge at that facility, at one facility, a fantastic maintenance technician, they retire and we didn't do anything to capture any of that knowledge. And so the CMMS almost just becomes a training aid as well.
Amazing. I wanted to give folks here an opportunity to ask any questions to these brilliant wisdom, really guys loaded with wisdom here while we have them up here. So if anyone in the audience has questions, I'd love to give you an opportunity to ask those as well. And if feel free to raise your hand or just go ahead and shout them out.
The MaintainX. So for you folks, you have multiple sites. Like, what was your plan to go from site to site with MaintainX, and how did you manage that process in a way that felt easy to rock for you and your team?
Yeah. So great question. So what we did is we broke our 27 facilities into phases. So we just, we took 27 and we just divided them out over, I think it was like 6 phases. Our organization is split by region, so we have North and South region, and then we also have single product versus multi-product facilities. So what we did is we actually took in phase 1, and I'm going to throw some MaintainX slang out here. We did a gold standard phase, right, our phase 1. But what we did is we actually just focused on 4 plants. So we took a high complexity facility, we took a medium complexity, I took 2 medium complexities and a low complexity. And then that's where we started to focus or roll out on those. And we figured if we can execute that model, we can do a high complexity, a low complexity, and everything in between, and we can do all the other 20-some-odd plants together. So we focused on phases. What we did initially is then we broke each phase down into a systematic kind of roadmap approach. So priority number 1 was getting all of our users at. So whether it was, a technician user or a requester-only user, we didn't care. It's just whoever we had at the plant, we kind of predetermined. We said, hey, if you're a maintenance technician, you're going to be a full user. If you're a maintenance manager, you're going to be an admin. If you're an operator that's going to be submitting a maintenance request, you're going to be a full user. So that was kind of step number 1. We needed to define our user base. And then from there, it was immediate. That, like I said before, it was, if you have a register in your hand, we want that in the system. It doesn't matter. We're just going to keep building as we go. We'll do mass uploads as we kind of venture along this roadmap. So that's how we did it. We took the cheeseburger approach, right? Well before I knew Nick, and it was just one bite at a time. But we tried to get our gold standard to encompass everything that we would run into help to get first.
Thank you.
Okay.
Curveball, Joe. You ready? So you both had a chance to sit through our product roadmap, get a little bit of a teaser. Is anything stand out, or what that you saw today maybe is something you're most excited about, or get you kind of thinking about what ways that you could implement it in your operations?
So Jack may be further along than we are on some of that, but being able to get all of our product manuals at our fingertips is something that's going to make it so we don't have to increase our maintenance headcount going forward. So that's a big plus for us.
Yeah, one of the things that really I'm very, very excited about is Asset Connect. I know I'm not an OEM guy, right? I'm going to be on the receiving end of this thing, right? But I'm so pumped. Yesterday, when I landed in Chicago, I was trying to find my other driver, and I got a phone call from one of our plants down in Louisiana. He says, hey, I know we have this meeting at 1 o'clock. He's like, however, I'm not going to make the meeting. He said, we had a critical failure last night. I'm trying to work with our parts vendor, trying to get parts, all that good stuff. And man, if we had Asset Connect, we had the asset in box. We could have marked emergency because it was critical. We had to get that asset back online. And he could have been hands off, right? He could allow that OEM vendor to work through that process, and then all of that information would document over history. From that perspective, I am very, very excited. I can't even, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I'll say that looking forward to that is a plus for us. Also helps to lead us towards the vision that we have from the maintenance department, and that is for that to be an invisible department so that nobody really knows about it. It works behind the scenes, and there's very few problems that they actually see. You take care of them ahead of time, and that's the concept that we look to drive to as an invisible department.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. It's been an absolute privilege for us to have you here, and let's give everybody a round of applause real quick.